Hey guys, Jim here. Time to share with you now a very exciting acquisition, something that really is quite mind-blowing. This is a very special and very unique knife. This is the Redencion made by a gentleman named Ramon Chaves. Now, if you haven't heard of Ramon Chaves, don't feel too badly, especially if you're not into fixed blade knives, because that's primarily where he began. This is actually his very first folding knife design ever. And what he did was he based this off of his Redemption, which is a really big tank-like fixed blade. The way this whole thing came about, kind of going to a little bit of a backstory here, he decided he was going to make 10 prototypes of this model before going into a quote-unquote production. And the list of people that were brought into this 10 prototypes was a quite exclusive little club here. And I completely lucked into it. You know, guys like JR from Knife Thursday and Terra Fanatic and Fast Bandit and Frucci and Justin Laffer. I mean, these are, you know, people that have an incredible appreciation for knives and share that appreciation with a lot of people on the internet, whether it be via YouTube or websites or blogs. And it was really a great way to kind of get the name out there and get the knife out there and let a lot of people see it and get some great exposure so Ramon could get feedback on, you know, what was good about the knife, what may have not been so great about the knife, so that he could tweak things when he goes into production. So he went to people that he respected their opinions. And how I lucked into it was becoming friendly with the guys over at Knife Thursday. JR, just out of the blue, when he was talking to Ramon, and Ramon said, yeah, I'm going to make 10. I've got 9 spots filled. I need to fill that 10th spot. JR put my name in there, and I will forever be grateful for that, because he just kind of knew that this was the kind of knife that I would love. He didn't have time in that moment to call me and go, hey, would you like to get one of these? It was, put Jim Skelton on there. I know he's going to love it. And when JR called me or texted me, I forget which, I'm like, yeah, let me see pictures of the knife. And this was what sold me right here. I went, oh, hell yeah, I need to have me one of those. I mean, the whole skull theme, it's a big part of my life, obviously. Look at my logo. I was like, that's bad as hell. But I didn't know anything else about the knife. And when I started thinking back, I remembered that a couple of months earlier, Justin Laffer had contacted me and said, hey, this is a guy's name you want to remember, Ramon Chaves. He's going to be a really, really prolific maker, and he's coming out with a folder. And I had forgotten about it because no other movement had happened on the knife at that point until JR contacted me. So it was really kind of cool that two friends were looking out for me, and I was able to get in on this. What he's done with these first 10 is he's individually numbered them with a unique hash mark system. And I'm kind of glad mine was number 10, because I kind of like the double set of scratch marks on there. That's a really innovative way to number your knife. So what he did was he offered to us that he would do pretty much anything within reason to keep our knives unique. So no two knives so far are alike. Going back to number 1 and number 2, number 1 is Ramon's, and I posted a picture of mine next to his last week when he delivered the knife to me. Number 1 and number 2 both have slimmer blades. He decided after he made those two that he was going to take this 3V blade and go super ridiculously thick. To give you an idea of the thickness here, let's put it up next to my Chris Reeve Omnums on. Now you get an idea for what a tank this knife really is. It's almost like if Direware made a Sabenza. That's kind of what you got here. The overall size is just a little bit bigger. It's actually a 3 3/4 inch blade. It's got quite a sizable handle on it too, so you got a nice big grip. Put it up next to my Bodega, which might be the closest in size. No, it's still bigger than a Bodega. Didn't realize that. So what he offered to do is make each one unique. And as he would prepare to make it, he called each of us up. So when he got to me, I said, you know what? I said, I really want to have this as an everyday user, a hard use knife, because it really looks like what it's designed to be. I said, but I do want to make it a little bit different. So we decided to do a dark bronze finish with the hardware being done in a lighter golden bronze. And I said, now instead of just doing the bead blasted frame, which I definitely want that matte look, I'd like it to be smoother to the touch and not quite as rough. So let's do the blasted titanium. Let's do a nice dark bronze and then go over it with a very light stone wash to smooth it out. And it was something he had never really considered, I think, combining all of those different finishes. Not only does it look great and feel great, but you get these little flecks of golden bronze that come out of the natural scratch marks that the stone washing leaves. And it was really quite a pleasant side effect, I got to tell you. It's pretty damn cool. I dig that. The other request I made was the back spacer. We had choices of different back spacers. It could be raised, or it could be flush, or it could be gear patterned, or pretty much anything you could think of. What I wanted to do was a gear pattern, but flush. I didn't want it sticking up and out. And we did a mirror polish with a golden bronze, which I think added just enough of a pop of color to give it a little bit of beauty without being pimpy. The pocket clip, we were initially going to do the same thing on the pocket clip, but when Terra Fanatic got his mirror polished, it immediately showed scratches. So I was worried about that. I'm like, this is going to be a knife that's going to get abused. I'd rather it not look like crap, from the first day I get it. So Ramon says, we should probably just match it to the same finish that we have on the titanium. I said, well, let's do something a little bit different. Let's do that, but let's take the edges and mirror polish the edges and do the golden bronze. And he thought that was a neat idea, and that's exactly what he did, and it came out really cool. It's subtle, but it's very, very cool. The other significant difference on mine is the only one in existence with a 1/3 shorter pocket clip. I have this thing where I really don't like really long pocket clips. And even though it's really awesome with the skull motif, I asked him, I said, would you mind cutting it down just a little bit? So everybody else's comes to about here, and obviously mine is considerably shorter. That was kind of a big deal for me to have that. So that also makes mine a one-off. Another thing that makes it a one-off is the finish on the 3V steel blade. I very much wanted to have a two-tone look. I wanted to have kind of a working finish up here. So on the flats, it is a dark acid etch stone wash with a belt finish satin on the primary bevel. This is the only two-tone blade that he's done. He also highlighted the very deep swedge very nicely as well. And when he was done, he says, you know what, I'm probably not ever going to do another satin finish on a blade ever again. It was really time-consuming. It was really difficult to achieve, especially in 3V. So that might help to keep mine a little bit unique in the future as well. Another little change that he made, he did this on one other of the knives, and I saw it and thought it was really cool. He chamfered the edges all the way around the lock bar, coming up around the pivot. I thought it was a really, really nice custom touch. Now, some of the standard features that I love about this, I love the pivot, I love the fitment. Look how tight the tolerances are between the frame and that pivot. It's like it was just barely slid in there. He has a monster blade stop on this. I mean, that thing is just huge. The jimping is incredible on such a thick, wide frame, thick, wide blade stock. It works perfectly. It's a little rough, not enough to tear up your skin, but you certainly are able to grab onto that and lock into it. This is going to be a good, hard-duty knife. If I ever have a need for a hard-duty knife, this is the one I'm going to be reaching for, period. He does angle off the edges all the way around on the titanium. He did make one person's with a rounded contour, which I thought was really nice. I hadn't thought of that. And if I would have thought of that, I probably would have had him do it. But I actually like how this feels in the hand. It's blocky and it's tough. and it's not going to twist around in the hand because it really does kind of grab in there. Super early lockup. Mine has not broken in yet. It's nice and smooth from here to here. And actually, oh, it is getting, it's getting there. Before, you could not open this with one hand. Everybody else will tell you on the other 9, and pretty much everybody has made a video about it. You look at theirs now, and they're like butter. They just kind of fly right open. So mine still has a little bit more break-in right there at the end. So I expect in the next week or two that is really going to get super smooth. But it has this nice buttery feeling as you open and close it. The overall construction is amazing. Yes, it's big and it's thick and it's heavy and it's tough, but that's really what I like about it. Not everybody is into the tank-like overbuilt knives, but those of you that are, oh man, you're going to love this thing. Now, there's some good and bad news. The good news is they're ultra affordable when you compare this knife to other knives built in a similar fashion with similar materials. He's charging for the standard models about $5.25. And you'll pay more if you want to start adding a whole bunch of crazy stuff. But he's, throwing in stuff for free, like your choice of anodizing for whatever colors you want, what choice of finish you want. I mean, these are things that it's kind of amazing what you're getting for the money. Yeah, $525 in the custom folding knife world is a very low number. As a matter of fact, that's really mid-tech numbers. And yes, he is using CNC and everything else to create these, but everything is completely hand-formed, hand-fitted. Everything else is done by hand, so it is really a true custom knife. He's a one-man operation. Nobody else is touching your knife except for Ramon himself. The bad news is his list filled up immediately for the available pieces that he knew he would be able to make over the next 2 years. So people are going to be waiting a year to 2 years to get theirs, but that list is full. There's no way for you to get in on an order on one of these. But I would still say reach out to Ramon anyway. I'm fairly certain he has a backup list. Shit happens. There could be Joe Blow, his time comes up in 8 months. Ramon gives him the call to see how he wants to have everything done, and Joe Blow says, Mrs. Blow has decided to, actually, it's pretty damn funny when you flip the name over like that to a Mrs. Mrs. Blow. Anyway, Mrs. Blow has decided, I can't even finish that thought. She's decided to divorce me and take me for everything that I own, so I can't afford to buy your knife. So, those kind of situations do come up, and being on a backup list will certainly, it's a good thing to try to do. Because I got to tell you, this is not a statement that I make lightly. I do realize that there are a tremendous amount of incredibly talented knife makers out there putting out a lot of quality product. But in my opinion, this is going to be the knife of 2014. Now, I know, that's a really, really bold statement. But you have to experience one of these in your hand. You have to understand what it is that you're buying here. Especially in the fact that he didn't go cheap on the steel. Going in 3V, if you're going to make an overbuilt knife like this, doing it in something like S90 or 3V makes a lot of sense because you've got a really, really strong blade that's gonna hold a sharp edge for a very, very long time. That's what I love about 3V. This is my 3rd or 4th knife in 3V. And I gotta tell you, all of my knives have performed flawlessly with this steel. Couldn't be happier. Look at that. Look at the thickness of this monster. So I honestly think as we start seeing these rolling out, and you'll be able to see the difference. No more will be numbered like this. He's going to do something like numbering on the inside of the frame with standard numbers and things like that. But when we start seeing these rolling out, and more people start talking about it, I'm going to tell you right now, the popularity is going to go through the roof. Everybody's going to want to get one. And again, I feel very fortunate to have gotten in on this exclusive run of the 10 prototypes, because if I would have seen this knife and watched other people repeatedly posting it month after month after month, it would have driven me nuts. I would have ended up spending double or triple to try to buy one from somebody. And once you've opened it, once you've held it, once you've felt it in your hands, you just realize you're holding one of the most badass overbuilt folders there is. And having played with Ramon's personal knife, having played with Terra Fanatic's knife, and feeling what it's going to feel like in a couple weeks when it's completely broken in, oh my God. Oh. I took Mike's, and the first time I picked it up, I popped that thumb stud, it flipped right open. I was like, oh hell, this is going to be awesome. The other thing is, I love when I have the opportunity to buy a knife from somebody I really like. From the very first phone conversation I had with Ramon, I just loved the guy. Very humble, very happy, just a very upbeat, really swell guy. And when he built the knife and he got done with it, he says, well, I'll give you an option. He goes, you know, I guess it was Monday when he got done with it. He says, I could either overnight it to you or I can hand deliver it to you at the New York Custom Knife Show, since we're both going to be there. I said, well, hell, I'd rather get it directly from you, so go ahead and keep it and take it up there with you. And from the first time I met this guy, I shook his hand. I knew this guy was going to be a friend forever. He is just such an incredibly nice guy. I mean, he absorbs the energy around him and he radiates it back out with an extreme degree of happiness. There are not many people I've met in my life that were as happy as he is. And you know what? I think it's because he's surrounded by people that have a great admiration for him after handling his work. These knives are incredible. I know that he impressed Julie at Arizona Custom Knives, because there was one he was carrying around with him with a different clip on it. It was more of a spring clip instead of the thick contoured clip. And I just noticed on Arizona Custom Knives Instagram yesterday, or a couple days ago, they had a little, just like off to the side, little picture of it in a group of knives where they said, we're going to be putting these up on the site tomorrow. So, yeah, everybody that comes in contact with this knife is impressed. Now, I already banged mine up. The very first day I had it in my pocket. Somebody was squeezing by me at the knife show, and it was actually this watch, and my watch went right up against it when it was in my pocket. So, unfortunately, I don't get to show you a pristine example for the video, which I typically prefer to do. I usually won't carry a knife until I've done its video, and then I carry the hell out of it, and I don't care if I mark it up and scratch it up. I am as much in love with it today as the day I got it, actually about a week ago. Wow, it was a week ago, yeah. I apologize for not getting this video done sooner. The whole show, I ended up with this in my pocket. And I made some great scores. I bought some beautiful Grail knives. But this was the one that ended up in my pocket. And it was so funny that two people from YouTube actually approached me at the show and went, oh, hey, you're Jim Skelton. As I was turned away from them, they didn't see my face and they didn't hear my voice. Most people were coming up to me because they heard my voice. And they said, oh, I saw the pocket clip and I knew that was going to be you. I knew that was your Redencion. How cool is that? I mean, you have probably the most wicked profile in the world sticking out of your pocket. I do believe he's going to offer a couple of different pocket clips, though, and if somebody doesn't like a skull, I'm sure he'll do something else. But this is his logo, by the way. I found this out because I was going to see if he would alter it just a little tiny bit to make it look a little bit more like my logo. And he says, well, no, actually, this is my logo, so that's why it's so prominent on the knife. I said, oh, okay, well, I totally respect that, and I love how it is, so we're just going to leave it like it is. So that is your look at the number 10 of 10 prototypes of the Chaves Redencion. And I did ask him specifically, I'm like, how do I pronounce this? Is it Redencion, or is it like Fast Bennett says it, Redencion? I like how he puts a little French in there for no reason. Redencion. He's like, no, it's Redencion. So there we go, Redencion. There it is. Nice, good look at it. I could not be more impressed, and I can't wait to hear from more people as he begins the custom production of these and gets more of the standard models out there in people's hands, and watch them guffaw over this friggin' knife. I've got a lot of knives that I consider to be really damn nice. This is a forever keeper. You will never see me trading or selling this knife, period. And that is a very, very rare spot in my collection, especially when I first get a knife, to be able to say that, because I'm always on the fence. Is this going to be a long-term keeper? Is this something I'm just going to enjoy for a while and flip? This is one that will stay with me until I have beaten the freaking life out of it, which I don't know that's even going to be possible. All right, guys, I'm out of here for now. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all the requests lately. I'm trying to get to as many videos as I can. Thank you to Ramon for making not only an incredible product, but for making a great impression on me. You really are a terrific individual, and I value the time that we've spent together. And I can't wait to see what else is running around inside of your brain for future models, because I will be there for each and every one of them. All right, guys, I will talk to you later. Have a good day.